Meeting of the USD 489 Board of Education to order for Monday, March 6, 2023. I want to welcome all of our guests that are here in person and all the people that are watching on the video that was, our board docs was put out previously before the meeting, but right now, do I have a motion to approval of the agenda?
Mr. President?
Yes.
I have an addition to, a motion for addition to the agenda, please.
Okay.
Okay, I move that we have discussion on State's House Bill 2512 concerning the needs assessment.
I have a motion to add a agenda item on legislative issue 2012.
2512.
2512.
That was approved last year.
Okay, on the assessment. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do any further discussion, or Alan, do you want to discuss this prior?
Yes, for discussion, there's some in-service opportunities coming up that is in Hayes, and they're free, and it's from 9 to noon, and so we ought to check that out. And I know we've had some conversation about that, and so this gives you an opportunity to learn more about it, and so that and then maybe we could get an opinion from our attorney for a later date.
Okay.
On what, an attorney general opinion on how we can, if we follow it or not, what happens.
Okay, probably my only discussion on that issue is this is not put on by KASB. It is put on by a political action group. So I hesitate because KSB does not acknowledge this group in training.
I would disagree. It's a Kansas School Board Resource Center, and all the information that they provide, it's a great opportunity to look at. Every bit of information comes from the Kansas State Board of Education.
I'm not arguing that. I'm just making the board aware that it's not KSB
It's
or
not
they...
political.
It's not
They don't-
related or approved by the KASB.
KSB.
Well, it doesn't have to be. It's a
Okay.
different opportunity.
Okay, any other discussion? I call for a vote on this motion. All in favor, vote yes.
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 All opposed, vote no.
No.
Okay, Jess, 5-2.
Nobody's registering, so Lori.
Yep, Papa.
While we're checking the votes, we do have Tammy Welbrock on Zoom, so all 7 board members are present. One is just not physically here. She will be voting, and it'll come over the computers. And she can talk.
President?
Yes.
Mr. President, I'm gonna mute myself. I will definitely, but if you need me to, and if I need to speak, but I'll go ahead and vote on the actual program board docs, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, she voted. Motion failed prior
Oh,
to.
okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I would move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented in board docs. I'll call for that motion. All in favor, vote yes.
Yes.
All opposed, vote no.
Mr. President?
Yes.
My voting part's not coming up, so
Okay, just,
yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
okay, we'll go on down to 1.3. I'll just take a second to go over the mission. Especially with this many people here and watching, I do this at the start of each one of our board meetings. The mission of the USD 489 is to provide a quality learning experience for every student in every classroom every day. To support the mission of the district, the USD 489 board includes supporting a vision that encompasses high student achievement, high effective highly effective staff, effective and positive communications, and effective management of resources. At this time, we'll go down to 2.0. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. President?
Yes.
I would like to pull the disposal of obsolete district property, please.
2.3, Alan would like to pull 2.3, disposal of district property. If we can move it
Is that it?
down to 7.1. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda with this one change?
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, vote yes.
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 All opposed, vote no. Okay. .1 USD 489 Achievement of Excellence Recognition. Ron?
Yeah, Jerry Brown, come on up, man. You can stand right there. You're gonna give a speech in just a second. Yeah. It gives me great pleasure tonight to recognize Jerry Brown, gifted instructor at Hayes Middle School and Hayes High School, who was recently selected as one of 7 educators across the state as a Kansas Master Teacher. This recognition is well-deserved and a great honor for Jerry, as well as Hayes USD 489. Jerry will officially be recognized on April 5th at Emporia State University during Master Teacher Day. In addition to this recognition, Jerry will receive $1,000 to be used for professional development. I don't know if I can get you to a Hawaii conference, but it might get you close.
Get me to the water.
Anyone who knows Jerry knows he is an outstanding educator. He represents our district at the highest level, and it gives me an honor to be able to recognize you. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. I mean, basically just thank you. I feel like the reason I'm standing here is because of the support that I've had over the last years. Ask Mrs. Dinkle how long that's been, because I think we came about the same time. So if she wants to divulge, that's her problem. But it really has been, I believe, the working for a district like this has made this possible. And I kind of look back and we haven't fared too bad over the last 8 years. We've had 6 Kansas Master Teachers from Hayes USD 49. So I'm not alone in this. I believe that those that went before me and those that will come after me, it's because of the district we work with. So thank you. And I teased Craig earlier. I said, now have I made up the fact that he had to hire me back 3 times? And he said, that's good. We're good now. So thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to say, Mr. Brown, I got to spend a lot of time with him over the years, and I'm the same way. I'm not saying how many years because I've forgotten how many years it is, but he has been good. He is one of those teachers, just like a lot of our teachers, that are good for kids, whether it's just meeting the kid in the classroom. I think of Jerry as a math teacher because that's where I saw him the most, and I also remember him as a state leader in math, going to the different conferences and bringing him back to our district. So now he's moved into a different position, and one thing I have never heard a bad word from our staff with Jerry, because he is a builder of staff. And that works really nice with the position that he is now in because of all the departments, those kids that are coming to him right now. So congratulations, Jerry. Okay, 4.1, public comment. If I will recognize anybody, I want to go ahead and read the guidelines for the public forum. The board requests that all members of the public respect the rules outlined below so that anyone and everyone that wants an opportunity to provide input will be given the chance. Speakers are asked to start with stating their name and address where they reside. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes with their presentations. We'll just have a little clock up here on the screen so we are able to get everybody through if we have the input. Speakers are asked to make only points that have not been made previously. Except to ask clarifying questions, the board members shall not interact with speakers at the open forum. The board asks that all members of the public respect these rules so that everyone that wants an opportunity to provide input to the board that has not already been given will have the chance. So, is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board tonight? Okay, go ahead. I saw your hand, so come on up. Welcome.
Good evening, board members. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name
You
is-
might speak up just a little, but we can hear you.
My name is Ruth Reuter. I am a City of Hayes resident, a Hayes High alum, and my daughter currently attends Hayes High School. I am coming to you to address you this evening with a question that I have. The last board meeting, it was decided on the branding of the high school and middle school, colors and logos. My question stems from the decision on the middle school to only change the colors. I am just wondering what the color change alone does for the unification of the schools. On the surface, to me, the only thing I see from this is the need to spend more money on changing the colors to an existing mascot and school identity, which forces the middle school to need to purchase new uniforms, branding, etc., all while only attaining unification through the same colors. With the bond passing, which I supported, is this not the time to unite the middle and high schools with one single brand? I was just curious for your decision, and thank you for your service.
Okay, thank you for the question, and I know that that was a decision that we had a lot of discussion on at the last meeting, and it was a hard decision as we went. Okay, anyone else that would like to address the board? Come on up, welcome.
I timed my speech. I met 3 teachers and students, also showing explicit photos to classmates. Later in the day, I picked up our children. I was told the student was suspended for 2 days. My wife emailed the school principal expressing our concern with the situation and the fact that there was no parent notification of the incident. We received a generic response stating the situation was handled and that there was no immediate threat to students or staff. A follow-up email from us was met with the same type of response. The next day, my wife, my mother-in-law, and myself attended a meeting with the superintendent, Ron Wilson. The entire situation was discussed, but we were again told that there was no credible threat. When we asked Mr. Wilson what constitutes a credible threat, he stated a credible threat is when a student brings a weapon to school. I'm sorry, but that is far too late to be considered a credible threat at that point. We asked if parents were going to be notified of this situation. Mr. Wilson stated no. In the past, parents have been notified of a group of conversations between students happening outside of school hours. If that is worthy of a notification, why wasn't this? We were told that between the officer and the school principal, it was determined that the student would be safe to return to school after the 2-day suspension. We even asked what the policy was for handling students like this, and Mr. Wilson's response was nothing. Mr. Wilson's demeanor and posture wasn't professional that day, in our opinion. As concerned parents, we feel the superintendent wasn't comforting or willing to help us. When asked if he would take these policy concerns to the school board, he said that that was not his job. Now I have to address the school board on behalf of the parents. This makes sense after looking into the policies that USD 49 has laid out on their website. Whether I missed it or not, I wasn't able to find any policy addressing criminal threats such as this or even sexual abuse cases and how they are handled within the district. The other issue at hand is at what point does a psychologist get involved to make the determination that a child is safe to return to school? I am a former police officer for the city of Hayes, and I can tell you we have received no training when it comes to psychology and how children and people react to situations like this. It cannot be left to the determination of an unqualified police officer and a school principal to evaluate a troubled student. As parents, we are asking that the district look into the lack of policies addressing these issues. We are asking that parent notifications and how/when they are sent be looked into. The parents that I have spoken with are upset that they weren't notified when a student makes a threat like this. Whether it was determined to be credible or not, in this day and age, no threat like this should be taken lightly, and transparency needs to be one of the foremost thoughts of USD 489 staff. If the school board is willing or wanting to hear my conversation with the superintendent, I do have that recorded and will provide it upon request. If there is in fact no policy for situations like this, don't you think it's time there should be? School violence is becoming more prominent across the U.S., and we need to do everything we can to protect our children. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any others that would like to address the board? Come on up, just state your name and address.
Hello,
Hi.
I'm Deb Shin, and I also am a lifelong Hayes resident, K through 12 in USD 49. I have a son who's graduated, gone through K through 12, and I also have a student at Roosevelt. Brandon kind of represented everything that we all wanted to say. I just wanted to add, because he kind of ran out of time, we did look up a few of the policies, and here's one on disruptive acts at school or school activities. It was adopted September of 2013, and the last time it was revised was 2015, and then the security and safety policy was adopted in 2011 and last revised in 2016. So just kind of going along with what he said, I think we need to make some updates to the policies and maybe make some newer policies, because the world is changing so much and we have to address those problems for all of our kids. And it's not just the fact of our children. We want the child who is involved to get the right help and the things he needs to turn things around, or whatever the situation was for him. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any others? Okay, seeing none, we'll move ahead with the presentation. 5.1, the Roosevelt Elementary Building Design Review.
You bet. We have Mike Fahey with DLR. He's an architect. We have been working with Mike extensively since, I don't know when we started, back maybe September. September is when you came over. Yeah, maybe September. So we feel like we meet with him quite a bit, and so we are close to the finish line on Roosevelt. So just wanted to review and share with the board where we're at with the design. So I'll let Mike take it over.
Thanks, Ron. Give a minute for the computer to connect here.
Mike, as you go through your presentation, if board members have questions, you want us to hold till the end or ask you as you go?
No, I'd much prefer it if you ask as we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
While I'm waiting, I just want to first off start by saying thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to show our progress in the project. I was the person who presented the last time around as well. I think that was back in November. And we've made quite a bit of progress since then. One of the things that I wanted to bring up is that in December, shortly after the last time we presented, we held teacher meetings with representatives from each kind of age level and program type, so art teacher, librarian, everybody. And I just want to say it's no surprise to me that you have so many master teachers coming out of this district. I've been doing this for 11 years, and the collective of all of the people that we've been talking to and working with is nothing short of my absolute favorite client I've ever worked with. So everyone from Ron, all the administrators, all the teachers, it's just been amazing. So
Thank you.
Big congratulations on that team, on the team you've built. Yeah, I'm trying again here. I did test it before and it worked just fine.
Yeah.
First try.
It always does.
Yeah.
Got any filler material?
I just used it.
Yeah.
I will say that the last time I came, we were talking more, I showed a lot of plans and talked about the plan development and how we got to the point that we are today with our how we're kind of envisioning the addition on the building. Today's is going to be a little bit more fun, where it's mostly just big, pretty pictures showing all the design that we've come up with in the meantime, something to get excited about. And I know I'm excited to show it. I hope you guys are excited about what we have to show.
I'm trying to open it myself. Here we go. Let me see if I can connect.
Do you want me to cancel here?
Yeah.
Okay. I also have it on a flash drive if we need that.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Oh, just throw in your flash drive. That might be the easiest.
Well, it still has to be able to show us.
Oh. Oh, we can. That's stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Am I ready? Yeah. What's this? There we go.
Okay. Okay, so the image on the left here is the existing plan. So that's the shape of the existing building. It's kind of a C-shaped building with the commons or the gym on the south end there. And what we're proposing is the new building will be a addition to the north, and the existing building is 58,000 square feet. We'll be fully renovating the existing building. Almost every single space in the building will get new floors, new paint, new ceilings. There's a few areas where those things are in really great shape, and we are choosing not to spend money to replace things that are in great shape, but most of the building is a little bit outdated and needs a facelift. So every classroom is going to get those updates. There are a couple portions that are going to get a little bit of a heavier treatment. One of them being the existing admin suite. If you're familiar with the building, it's the area to the bottom, kind of the bottom left of the plan, and on the right plan it's shown in pink. So that existing admin area, we're going to remove most of the walls and turn that into the new art studio. And then the reason to move art from where it is currently to that space is that we're also going to pop some new windows in that space. And right now the existing art room doesn't have any natural light, and so we're going to be able to have some natural light for that studio space. Oh, that one.
No, it's that one there.
Thank you. That's not really showing up on the screen.
Oh, it's not
That's
showing
okay.
up.
Some of the other areas that are receiving a little bit more attention in the existing building is if you look at the area in green in the middle of the space, where we're demoing out some walls and turning 2 existing spaces into 3 new special education spaces. The area just to the north of that, shown in red, is the new teacher suite, where we'll have the new workroom, conference room, the health suite will be there, the psychology office, and one of the collaboration spaces that I'll talk about a little bit more further on in the presentation. And then from the area in orange there north, that's the new addition. The orange area is the library space that we're calling a learning park. I'll kind of get into the branding of that and why we're using that terminology as I move on more, and it'll become more clear. And then to the west of that orange area, to the left side of the plan, that's going to be your new main entry. So we are abandoning the existing main entry. The doors will remain, but it'll be exit only. And we're moving the new main entry up into that kind of link portion between the existing building and the new. The area in red, just north of that main entry, is the admin suite, where the principal's office will be, school counselor's office will be.
So real quick, the white area is the main entrance, and then the red is what is those offices, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so the white area just to the west of the orange area is the new vestibule, and then where it turns red right above that, that's the new reception area. And then the further red north of that is the offices and things. And I have some blown up plans of this later on and some images too.
Okay.
The gym is shown in brown here, and that gym is both a gymnasium and a storm shelter. And the storm shelter is going to be ICC 500 rated, which is just a designation system that's saying you're building it to a certain set of standards. And it's also large enough for the entire population of the school and staff. And then to the east of that is the new academic wing, where we're having 5 new 4th grade classrooms and 5 new 5th grade classrooms, as well as a special education room and 2 collaboration spaces. So with all this additional square footage, we're going to increase the student enrollment from 3 classes per grade level to 5 classes per grade level, and just help better serve the community. So in this one, it's the same plan on the right, but I color-coded the different color blocks. So anything in red is teacher, staff related, admin related. The pink and purple is the arts. Brown is athletics. Anything in a shade of blue is meant to represent a education space, whether it's a private classroom, a collaboration space, or a kindergarten classroom that are treated a little bit differently. Anything in green is a special education space. The focus rooms, or the dark green spaces, are for when a kid's having maybe an emotional episode of some sort. The teachers can kind of take them in these rooms and separate them from their classmates and help them get through it. And then yellow and orange are more of the public spaces. This is a site plan. The primary purpose of this site plan is to show that one of the big changes that we're going to make to the site is that the existing parking on the south end is kind of a dead-end parking lot, and we're going to extend that through to Donald Street and connect the parking from Donald to MacArthur. That will greatly help in the current issues of stacking and the traffic issues that your school is experiencing at pickup and drop-off time. We're also going to add a new drive lane on the east side of the site, which that will be a drive lane dedicated for bus traffic primarily. And then if the school administration chooses to, we can allow parent drop-off and pickup there as well. But we're primarily conceiving of that as a bus lane, so that the buses won't have to drop off on Donald Street proper. And again, that will help with traffic flow. We're also the kind of half circle area on the north end of the existing playground is going to be a new soft surface rubber playground area, where we're going to relocate existing equipment onto that space. That'll be a little bit of a nicer playground area than anything that they have now. And then the courtyard between the new building, the new addition, and the old building is going to be kind of a learning courtyard. We're calling it an outdoor learning park. And I have some images of that to kind of show what we mean by that as well. So here's the fun part, getting into our 3D imagery here. So this is the new entrance, the new main entrance on the west side of the building from the southwest. We're trying to create a really open, exciting entry into sequence into this building. It's all glass, the central portion. It has a lot of transparency, and will create a really unique transition from the outside to the inside. The walls on the north or south end of this are going to be 16 feet tall, solid limestone walls. It's going to be locally sourced Kansas limestone, Onega variety. It's a really nice, natural, rich color of limestone. It has a lot of coppers and oranges, and it's a really nice product. And then the new building will use the same type of brick as the existing building, so kind of paying homage to the original building, bringing that material across, but treating it in kind of a more modern, contemporary way. And then the taller mass on the backside, kind of behind that pink tree, is the new gym. There's a kind of closer up image of that. The roof of this is something I'm particularly excited about. We kind of detailed it so it's just one plane that almost looks like it's floating above all that glass. And then we're going to paint it a sky blue color, so it kind of brings, it's going to kind of bring the outside in. Once you're in that space, you'll almost feel like you're still outside. There's going to be great views, great materials, all natural in there. And then moving in an enlarged plan here. So now you can see where that main entry is. That will be a secure vestibule. So a visitor to the building during pickup and drop-off time, all 4 sets of those double doors may be unlocked when the students are coming in the morning. but then you can have staffing there to make sure that nobody who's not supposed to be there is getting in at that time. And then off of those typical hours with lots of kids coming and going, the interior set of those doors would be locked, and the door to the reception area would also be locked, and then the receptionist would be able to buzz people in and out of the building and make sure that they're getting eyes on everybody who's coming and going as a single point of entry. And as well, once somebody gets into the reception, they then have to be buzzed through a second time, either to go north into the admin wing or south back into the learning park. Once you're in the learning park, that's kind of it's the media center, but we're calling it the learning park because of all these natural elements and the views out to the outside. There's a meandering path that kind of goes to the east side of the building, which is a new rear vestibule, rear entry. That would only be used during pickup and drop-off time. We're not conceiving of that as a new public entry in any way. We would want the public to always come to that front door, which is more heavily monitored. Another feature in that space is the blue space to the east end of this plan is we're calling an indoor-outdoor collaboration space. So this is a flexible area that can be used for any number of purposes throughout the day or whatever the school needs it to be, but the east and west walls of that space are actually insulated garage doors. So if the weather's nice, you could open both of those up. If you had a fundraising event or something where you wanted people to be able to go from the courtyard into the learning space, into the learning park, you could have all of that open if you wanted to. And then we also have some security protocols to make sure that that doesn't result in a security breach. So moving on to some more of the fun pictures. This is an image of that reception desk. The receptionist will have a great view of everyone coming and going from the building, which is a very big security measure these days. It's just you always want to have a good view of people coming and going. And then you can get a better view now of those tall limestone walls. This is a view looking from that vestibule as you first enter the building, looking east into the space. One of the kind of fun things that we're doing with this space is we're going to have custom casework for the bookshelves. So those are going to be custom wood bookshelves that are built into the limestone walls. Those won't be furniture pieces. As well as on the right side, you can see one of those wood boxes that will have a TV in it. Those will be interactive touchscreen displays. The teachers have been piloting some of these touchscreen displays over the last couple months, and all the feedback seems positive. The teachers like them, and so we're going to be equipping all of the new spaces, and then slowly through the years, the existing spaces as well with those touchscreen displays. And you can see the garage doors in the background there. Those will be glass garage doors that allow views in and out. Here's as you walk to the east side of that same room, looking back, one of the kind of fun design features here is that kind of keyhole entry behind the librarian's desk. That we're calling that the reading cave. So as a student grabs a book that they want to read, they can go in there. It's a little cozy space with some bean bags for them to kind of curl up with a book. Just encourage students to love to read. I also think this is a good image to show how that ceiling is just going to kind of float on the glass all the way around. You're going to have lots of natural light in the space. Here are some finishes that we're going to be putting in that space. So the image to the far left is going to be the general carpet tile. It's a dark gray with kind of green patterning to it. There will be some limited areas with a bolder green, which is the bottom one. The paint on the ceiling will be the blue. The paint on the walls, even though there isn't a lot of painted walls in that space, it's mostly limestone. But that light gray will be the wall paint where we have it. The little image of the bear is, we want to put some cute vinyl wall graphics in that that reading cave area. So something like that could be put up there. We're not saying it's specifically that image, but we're going to keep working with the district to decide what they want to be applied to the walls there, whether it's actually a cavescape where you have images of caves, or if it's something a little bit more cartoony like this. And then we also have some of the lighting that we're proposing for the space shown there. As you move through that space, if you went out the east exit there, you would get into this courtyard. So this is a plan of that courtyard. The meandering pathway there is what the students who are taking the bus would come and go on, and then the two little kind of crescent areas with the white boxes on them would be outdoor collaboration or outdoor classrooms, two outdoor classrooms, and then the quarter circle area on the right is that new soft surface play area. So So here's a view of one of the outdoor classrooms looking back toward that learning park area. So we're calling this the outdoor learning park. The building to the left is your existing building, and everything to the right is the new building.
That's on the east side?
This is the east side, yes. Here's a little bit further back on that pathway, so you can kind of see where there's the classroom to the right, and then there's another one further down on the left. We're going to have a lot of planting in here. We've worked with our landscape architect to make sure that we have varieties of plants that will withstand the winters and some of the areas that won't get a lot of sun in here and stay vibrant. The white blocks that you see in these renderings will actually be those large limestone landscaping blocks, so it'll kind of tie in the materials to the building. And then you can also see on the new building on the right, there's some limestone banding in the brick that kind of breaks up the surface of the brick and ties the materials together to the learning park. The next area that we are going into here is the gymnasium and pre-function space, kind of the athletics part of the building. I said before that the gymnasium is a storm shelter. Typically with storm shelters, they're kind of dull concrete boxes, and we think we've done some special things to make this not feel like that. The yellow area in the plan here is the pre-function space. So you can come after hours for basketball practice or a graduation or something like that. You could use those doors in the vestibule on the left there. That would be a keypad entry. And then we have multiple sets of double doors then on the south side of that pre-function space or the east side that would be able to contain people to that portion of the building during an after-hours event, so you're not worried about people wandering the halls of your school when they're not supposed to. And then where it widens out there, kind of right below the word pre-function, we have a couple benches shown right now. You could also use that for staging for, if you had an event in the gymnasium where you wanted to serve food, you could have the food tables out in that hallway for people to grab food before they go in, or if I was a basketball coach or something, I could stage my players out there before or after a practice to just talk to them when we don't have the court reserved.
How wide is that?
So the hallway is 8 feet wide at the narrow port, and then 12 feet wide at where it says pre-function.
Compared to the old office, is that how much larger, about the same?
The teachers, the principal's office, the admin wing is just a little bit bigger. It's far more functional than what you have right now. What you have right now is divided up by these block walls, and there's no windows at all, and it's going to be much more open.
The secured entrance, do they not come in the office, or how do they work it? I mean, I know what they have now where they come in and you can see who's coming in and they go right into the office. They don't do that here?
So this vestibule that you're seeing on the left side of the pre-function here, the west side, is not where people would be coming and going from the building during the day when the office is being staffed. Those people would be coming to the main entry, which was to the west of the learning park. I can go back to that too. So that this main entry vestibule on this plan is where visitors would be coming. So they can get into the vestibule, and then to get into the reception area, they'd have to get buzzed through.
I see.
Yeah. So that the vestibule shown in sorry.
That makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Going the wrong way here. So this vestibule that you see on the west side of the image here would only be for those after-hours events. During the day, you'd have those doors locked. From the outside, that gym, this is an image of that gym and that same door we're talking about now. We wanted to do something a little bit special with the gym. Instead of just having kind of a flat precast concrete box that kind of looks like a refrigerated storage building or something, we want to provide what's called a form liner panel. So it provides some texture to the surface. So the image on the bottom left is a specific form liner that we think would work well for the project. So it kind of puts those horizontal grooves into the facade. It makes a nice texture. And then up in the top left portion, where you see the words, those words are pulled directly from the Roosevelt logo. If you're familiar, it's the baby roadrunner holding a sign that has the words respectful, honest, compassionate, independent, motivated roadrunner on it. It spells out the word leader in the middle. So we're planning to actually recess those letters into the concrete. So as the sun hits it, it'll cast shadows, and you'll be able to read those traits of a successful Roadrunner student on the face of the building. This is an image of that pre-function space, so you can see where it widens out there a little bit. Right now we're showing some benches, but that could be tables for a check-in for an event or any purpose that you might need it for. The big RES on the wall to the left, those are going to be concrete panels that'll be on the inside. That'll be the color of limestone, so it'll be kind of a tan color. It's not really reading very well in this image. But those RES letters will be recessed into the wall again. We have not studied font, so the fonts and the specific wording that we're showing could be anything. We're going to work with the district moving forward, but we're just trying to show opportunities for school branding. Anywhere where you see words could be an image, it could be a different font, it could be something else entirely. Likewise with the yellow lettering on the right that says Roadrunners, that could be anything. So we did, if you look at the top right where it says Roadrunner above the image, that's an interesting font that we pulled from the website that we might match that font or something different. And then through the windows on the right there is the STEM lab. We don't have a rendering of the interior of that space, but that's where you'd access the STEM lab from. Here's an interior shot of that gym. So we have a big Roadrunner painted on the wall. We have the purple and yellow school branding colors kind of pulled through, and up at the top, those are sound absorbing panels. And then the flooring would be a synthetic wood look flooring. It wouldn't be a true wood floor, but it would be a wood look floor that is common for elementary school projects. We have these very tall, 24-foot tall windows in the space, which is unique for a storm shelter. Typically, you wouldn't see any windows in those spaces, but there have been some developments in window technology over the last several years, and a couple companies are starting to offer storm-rated glazing systems. So that glass is actually bulletproof for small caliber weapons, as well as being stormproof for projectiles being thrown around in a tornado. So we have 3 of those. We also have a screen there that you can see that can be pulled down, and a projector behind the bleachers on the opposite wall for big presentations. And then there will be a fold down partition in the middle of that space so that you can have 2 PE classes going on at any given time, or 2 basketball practices or what have you. There's an image looking back the other way at the bleachers. Should be a pretty nice space. And then here's a material palette for that room.
How much seating on those bleachers?
I think it's about 90 people. 90 people, which is more than we typically put in an elementary school. So that's a nice size bleacher for an elementary.
You usually have basketball goals going one way. You don't have them going the short ways?
We don't plan to at the moment, but that could be, you could add more goals to go the short way if you want in the future. The next series of images will be of this new academic wing for the 4th and 5th grade. So again, there will be 5 classes for each grade in that area, 2 collaboration spaces, which are in the dark blue, and then a special ed and resource room that's shared between the 4th and 5th grade in the green there. We have 3 of those such resource rooms, so each of those is shared between 2 grades. So there's a K1, a 2-3, and a 4-5. One thing that's kind of fun about the collaboration spaces here is you see where there's the zigzag wall there that's kind of opening up. Those are the accordion doors, so you could have those doors shut, and each of those spaces would operate as its own breakout space that a teacher could take a smaller group of students, or you could open them up and use both spaces together for a bigger group, or if you wanted to display artwork and have a parent-teacher night where you have art on the walls and people can kind of meander through and look at what the kids are working on. That could be a fun space to do that in. Here's a rendering of that space. So this is of one of those collaboration spaces to the south of the hallway there. The white band on the left side of this image is a product called Wall Talkers. So that's a wall-applied film that is magnetic and writable. So it's just a giant whiteboard. And then on the right side, the white band would be a large tack board. And the black screen there would be a touch screen. Here's a typical classroom renovation. A little bit less color, but still a fun and exciting environment, but a little bit toned back so that it's less distracting. This space is seen as a highly energetic collaboration space, whereas a classroom would be, you want it to be just a little bit more reined in for the students. Here's a color palette for the different colors we plan to use in the classrooms. It's a cool tone set of colors that are better, more conducive for learning environments. We try to avoid warm tones in learning environments because they can kind of excite children. Then the last area that we've focused on here with our renderings is this commons area. So you can see the art and the music rooms that will be added, or the art is going to be kind of added, and the music room is where it is currently, but it'll have new finishes. And then the commons, we've expanded the dining area of the commons up onto the existing stage because it's our understanding that the stage is never used, and any performances that would go on in the future would be in the new gym, not the old. And so we've added we typically call this a learning stair when it's kind of those large format stairs that kids can sit on. In this case, we're calling it a dining stair because it's more part of the lunchroom, and kids could choose to kind of just sit there and eat on their laps if they didn't want to be on a table. And then we have more tables up at the top and that will help us accommodate the larger enrollment in the school. Here's an image of that space. A little bit more fun use of color. The brown walls are existing wood walls. We were going to talk to the school whether we wanted to paint those or leave those as the natural wood. Haven't had that conversation yet. But all new flooring, sound absorptive panels on the walls, some new computer screens for displays. There's an image looking back the opposite direction. Here's some materials in that space. So the swatches on the left are the flooring samples, and the ones on the right would be paint. Here's an image down the new 4th and 5th grade corridor. We are going to provide lockers for the 4th and 5th graders. That was something when we met with the teachers that all of the teachers were hoping that we'd have more storage options for them. And so we made the determination that for the 4th and 5th graders, as they become a little bit more autonomous and able to handle their own supplies and things, that we would give them each their own locker as a way of just kind of developing some of those skill sets before they get to middle school. And then each of those areas is recessed with the lockers we're bringing in color to each of those areas. Here's an image down an existing corridor. So we won't be having the lockers in the existing corridors, but we are going to add color by, we have this concept of kind of having a front porch to each classroom where the color goes on the walls around the doors and then sticks out on the floor a little bit into the hallway. The existing hallways are very long and they're all white, and we wanted to break it up a little bit. We thought this was a way to do that. And then the blue area on the right would be tack boards. We have extensive tack boards across the whole school for kids to pin up artwork. Here's some color palettes for each of those 4 existing hallways. Each one will have a little bit of its own identity. And that's it. That's our design update. I know that's a lot. You guys have any questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I have a niche interest, so these are all going to be related to the same thing, and I think everybody knows what it is. How many linear feet are currently in the library of shelving?
I don't have the number.
Because
I
we've
do know that we've provided
increased
as
by
much.
2 sections, and it looks like we're cutting the linear feet of shelving in about a third.
Sure.
And a lot of that shelving is out of reach of over half the population of the school.
Sure. One thing that I didn't touch on, and I can go back to the plan. This is probably the best plan to show it. If you look at the 2 hallways that are in orange there, so they're the ones that are running north and south, those hallways are lined with bookshelves.
Okay.
So those didn't show up in the renderings.
They
That's
did
actually where-
not. That is a lot more.
Yeah, most of the books would actually be along those hallways. And we thought that was kind of a fun way to activate those hallways instead of just having long, skinny hallways.
Okay. It does make observation of the kids a bit harder when they have, free reign through 3 angles of a room.
Sure.
But that's a good use of space. But I'm still concerned about the height and the fixed nature of them, because I just renovated a library myself, and the fixed shelving was problematic, and it will remain problematic in more years.
We are showing some mobile shelving in the main space. So like all these lower areas, those are bookshelves. So if you see the furniture pieces that are kind of floating out there, those are bookshelves. And if you found that you needed more than what we've shown, What we're showing is just representative of what you could fill the space with, but the district is going to be buying all of the furniture for these spaces. It's not something that is in our contract to purchase. Sometimes it is, but in this case, it's not. So if they determined they needed more bookshelf, they would buy more of those floating units and just arrange the space a little bit differently.
What about being able to have classes in the library? It's very broken up for seating purposes, and we just invested in putting our librarians back in to a higher level, and it looks harder.
Well, I will say that this space is quite a bit bigger than the current library, and we do have, so if you see in the plan, there's two kind of circular, half-circle seating areas. So each one of those has a touchscreen TV educating surface in front of it, as well as the indoor-outdoor collaboration has a third one. So there are actually 3 distinct areas where you could have classes broken out. And then the technology is such that those screens can all operate independently of one another if you have 3 small groups, or they can all be tied together where they're all tied into the same display. If you have 1 larger group or 2 larger groups, you can operate those either in tandem or separately. So you could accommodate groups of anywhere from 4 to 40 in the space pretty well.
Where's the checkout station? Is that in front of the reading cave?
Yes, yeah, so that would be the library and desk, and the checkout station would be right
So
there.
they'll go back behind their workspace to...
Yeah, but it's open. It's not like there's a door or something there.
Yeah, that's a
That's
10-foot
very
wide
true.
opening. And we did that on purpose because we wanted to give the kids a nice little cozy niche to kind of, like I said, curl up with a book on those bean bags, but also we recognize that could be an opportunity for kids to misbehave. So we put it right next to the staff so that, a staff would be able to hear anything that was going on behind them.
I saw initially, I was pretty excited about the STEM lab being connected to the library. And then I realized, then you showed that the entrance to it is in the opposite hallway. And that seems unfortunate, to being able to have a sort of classroom style learning when necessary. That is a thought I had out loud.
Sure.
Now everybody knows it.
Yeah.
So as you've been doing this, I'm right in thinking you've been talking to the librarians and the teachers that are there, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So we met with all of them, I think it was on December 7th. We didn't meet with every single teacher, but we met with at least 1 teacher per grade level. We met with the librarian, the art teacher, a couple of the special education teachers. We met with kind of a representative group of each of the teaching types.
Have you met with the parents?
I have not personally met with parents.
Is there any surveys or anything?
We did not send a parent survey for this project.
That's something we did at the high school. We got some good information from the community and that. So we're taking out the playground, the existing playground, and building a new playground with some existing
Yes. So
equipment.
yeah, I'll go back to the site plan here. So the existing playground, kind of the newest part of the existing playground is right where we're the end of our new addition piece. So that's why we're putting in the new soft play area in that quarter circle area. All that existing equipment will move. So that's about the same size as the piece that we're disrupting. But we're also going to be adding a new fence that goes all the way to the north property line, which right now, if you're familiar with the site, there's 2 kind of abandoned baseball fields on the north end of the site. It's our understanding that is completely unused. It's outside of the existing fence, and the baseball fields aren't functional anymore. So we're going to extend the fence line across the east portion of that site all the way to that north property line. So the playground will actually be bigger than the existing playground, substantially bigger, even though we're adding in the east drive lane and the new addition. And all of the trees along the north end of that site are gonna have to come out for part of this. And one of the reasons for eliminating the trees on the east end of this site is because kids have been hiding in the trees, apparently, causing a disciplinary issue. and just observing kids as they're on the playground. So now, without those trees, the kids will be able to use the entire east portion of the site and be within eyeshot of teachers.
So are these plans here, are these the final plans, or are there still?
We're pretty close. Yeah,
Okay.
we're pretty close. Yeah.
The front parking, is that almost double?
The front parking is all existing, and then the south parking.
I'm going to the north along the front. That's where it's at now?
Yeah.
Yeah, all of the parking on the west side of the building is existing. So right now, the parking extends quite a ways past the existing building.
Oh, the spaces there aren't to scale.
The parking spaces are drawn to scale.
There?
Yep.
So it said in the paper, like the size would be around, the max is 690 some?
That is what we've designed to. By code, you could put more students in than that, but by the number of students that you can put in a classroom per square foot by code is different than the number that we recommend, education experts recommend. So the maximum number using the recommended square footage values is 690. By code, you can fit quite a few more, but that wouldn't be recommended. We would want to build a bigger school if you're going to put more students in than that.
We're currently going to reduce some staff in that school. So I'm kind of concerned about going from, what is our amount now, 400?
I think it's maybe a little bit more than
And you
that.
said
Okay.
3 sections, but it's actually 3 and 4 sections.
I just had a question, Alan. We're reducing staff?
And are we taking one teacher
That's just
out
a
of
one-year
the
deal.
fourth
That's
grade?
just a
one
one-year deal.
Okay.
This building will be
So
done after that.
what are our enrollment projections? Are we going to fit this, or we have a mega school now, and then we're going to have another mega school?
Well, I hate to say mega school. I would say we have right now 400 students approximately in Roosevelt.
Okay?
But I don't foresee us going to 5 sections immediately. They would allow us to go up to 5 sections per grade level.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would guess,
So in how many years do you think it will be 5? I mean,
well, I hope it's longer, but
but with birth rates and stuff, do you think it's going to grow? I don't think it's going to grow that fast.
well, I would hope so. I mean, I think there's a lot of people who are building a lot of homes in Hayes, and hopefully that,
And that's,
We gotta grow to stay.
and that's one of the things we looked at, is where we could build enough classrooms for the future.
Yeah.
Because so many of our other buildings that we're looking for, if we need to go to 4 sections, if we need to go to 5 sections, we have been good stewards of the bond and built for allowing to grow. Because everything that you talk from the city and the county, we are growing. The housing is growing, the different things like
The
that.
kids aren't coming right now.
But as far as I know, they are.
one of the things that we did here, and this was early on in the committee work, is that don't build a school, don't pass a bond and come back to us in 5 years and say, we didn't build it big enough. We heard that over and over from the community, and so that was part of why the plan was put together.
But when we sold the bond, it was going to be a 4-section school, and Laughlin's going to be
No.
4-section.
No.
Because that was one thing they said, it was going to be a 5-section. Because there's no schools that large. When you go look at it, you have to go to Kansas City. Not even Wichita has a school that, they may have one, but they have a lot of small schools. And in this area, to have not that many students, you're taking care of the problem with the gym. You can have 2 classes there. But art, can you have 2 classes in art? Can you have 2 classes in music?
We are going to have 2 music rooms instead of 1. So
There's 2
right now, the existing music room will remain, and we're adding an orchestra room, which could be used as a music room during the day, because orchestra only meets before or
So
after
we'll
school.
have to have 2 teachers.
Potentially.
So how are you merging, we spent like $3 million, $3 or $4 million on the existing new HVAC. How are you merging the 2?
So the HVAC, we're going to keep the new HVAC that you just put in. We're also adding some fire suppression to the existing building, because one thing that we heard from the fire department and the city was that technically we're not required to increase life safety in the existing building because of the level of renovation that we're providing doesn't require it per code. But we heard from the city that that they wanted more fire, they wanted to address some fire safety concerns that they had perceived where the area of part of the building was larger than what would be allowed by code today. In 1966, it was allowed. Today, if you rebuilt this building, you would sprinkle certain portions of it. And so, and they were thinking that because the bond has been passed, the money is here right now, now is the time to address some of these things. So we're adding a new fire sprinkler to part of the building. We're reusing the existing mechanical system in the entire existing building. And then the new building is going to have its own system that operates somewhat separate from.
The original building is what, how old?
1966.
66.
So almost 60 years.
So is that problematic on the plumbing? You're going to have to break out classrooms, you're going to have to put in new plumbing
We are,
in those classrooms?
We're
You
only-
need to add bathrooms?
we're only adding plumbing to 2 of the classrooms. Those are classrooms that are going to be first grade classrooms, and the desire is to have plumbing integral to all kindergarten and first grade classrooms. There will also be some second grade classrooms that will have it, just because they already have it. And
Are you putting bathrooms in that one area that's existing class, you're taking classrooms out and putting bathrooms in there?
sure, I'll go to that plan so we can. All right, this is very small, so it's a little bit hard to see, but.
That orange area, is it that existing building? No?
No, that's
No.
not.
No, the blue is. What is that?
Blue on down.
On the
Part, the green and the
existing
blue, those
north.
are new. I mean, old.
So the green portion in the middle of the building, there is an existing bathroom in the southeast corner of of that space. So that bathroom will remain. And then we're going to have doors that communicate between the other 2 spaces with the one on the east, so that those students could have access to the bathroom that's in that east classroom. So that, we're not going to adjust the plumbing, but we are going to give access to it from all 3 of those green spaces in the middle. The two light blue classrooms on the east side of kind of the main rectangular part of the building. So if you look at the purple room, which is the orchestra room, your existing art studio, the 2 blue classrooms to the east of that, those are the 2 spaces that are going to be used as first grade classrooms, and we're going to add bathrooms. So we do have a plan to cut out the slab and add plumbing there. That's doable, and it's in our current scope of work. And then in the red portion, the teachers area, there will be a new bathroom in there, a new kitchenette, but the kitchenette is in the location of your existing kitchenette. So we've really tried to be as efficient as possible and avoid areas where we're going to have to bust out the existing slab. We are doing it in a few areas, but in large part, we're reusing your existing plumbing in the existing building.
And north of the red, where you're taking out a classroom there, is that 1 or 2 classrooms that you're?
We're removing 2 classrooms
2
there.
classrooms?
Yeah.
And are those bathrooms or what is it?
So the gray in the middle is 2 existing bathrooms, and then the dark blue on either side of it are 2 of those collaboration spaces that are open to the hallway. Oh. Sorry.
I'm very impressed with your figures and what you've come up with.
Thank you.
I've been in the Roosevelt School before, and although I think it's an excellent school, I think this is going to be phenomenal. And I think you've been efficient. I think, you've put together something that's going to be very workable for these students. So I thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about the project, honestly.
I was going to say, we're getting excited just looking at it
Yeah.
and the space and the difference from a school that was built in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s as you go through there, because teaching is not the same way it was back in the 60s or 70s when, I'll admit, when I was in elementary school going through that direction. And Ron, you said you're very close to finalizing this information. And I'm even going to take it further. When have we talked about, when are we breaking dirt for this? Have we talked about that?
Where's our naples?
I can answer, or you guys can if you want. Yeah, go ahead.
That'll be probably mid-May.
Okay.
Before we lock in with all the subs and lock in what's called a GMP with you guys.
Okay.
And get to contract.
Another question.
Breaking the dirt is getting started and mobilized, not
Yeah.
necessarily.
Right.
Dirt, so.
Another question, every time I go east of the high school, I get excited because there's a sign out there that says future home of Hayes High School. Can we have a future home of the new addition of Roosevelt so that the public knows where this is going?
Fine by me. Do that. Sure.
That'd be great.
Mike, what's the cost?
The cost is currently sitting at about 18.7 million, which is on budget. That's kind of target. We originally planned for 18.2, but then that was not including the extra dive lanes to address the site circulation issues. And so once we added that accounts for that extra $500,000, and we feel like we're on budget with what we plan to spend.
Mike or Ron, I know we're not going to go through every little classroom today. Is there a way we can get our hands on your drawings and everything as a board and take further look?
Into Word docs.
Okay, great, great. And then if we have questions, we can go to Ron or Shanna and they can get back with you.
Yes, absolutely.
Can I ask,
I'd love feedback.
my eyes are not very good. So I got 4th and 5th are on the north side.
Yes.
Okay, the dark blue is kindergarten.
Yep.
The 5 streaming down on the west side, is that,
We have those labeled as third grade.
that's
right now.
3rd grade? Okay, then, can you just point out 2nd and
Sure.
1st grade to me, please?
So second grade would be, okay, so if you look at the dark blue that are the kindergarten.
Okay, that's kindergarten.
So the second grade would be the 3 that are on the north end of the building
And then
there,
2 down?
And then the 2 down. And then first grade would be
First grade's the
2
remainder of 5.
further, and then the 3 across the
Third's,
bottom.
the third's on the west side.
Yes.
Okay.
And that, that's just what we kind of assumed they would be, but the school could change those if they wanted to.
Okay.
Great.
But just, I might add, part of this renovation addition will require some of we just need some flexibility for the next year and a half at Roosevelt. We have met with staff, we've talked through the plan. What we'll be doing as part of this process is we're going to be bringing in a 10 classroom modular unit that will sit to the east and south of Roosevelt. It's kind of there by the gazebo, if you know where the gazebo is, out on the playground area. It will house 4th grade, 5th grade, and 2nd grade, as well as some special education classrooms. And it'll give us some flexibility as we maneuver inside the school to, because I don't know if you want to talk a little bit, get specifics, but we're going to be cordoning off certain sections of the school during periods of the school year, like a semester at a time, and they'll be doing some renovations during the school year. Of course, NAPOLS will be, working with the teachers and everything, just to try not to be as disruptive as they can, but it'll still, when we talked to the staff a couple weeks ago, we just said it's going to get a little messy before it's going to be really good, but everyone seems to be really excited knowing what's coming.
A good problem.
Yes.
So in a perfect world, when's it complete?
December 2014, or 2024, I'm sorry.
December 2024?
Yep.
That's great.
The intent is by Christmas to offer.
No wind, no storms, no.
Now,
The 10 classroom unit that you're talking about, do we have to purchase that, or do we lease that?
That's part of the bond.
We're buying it?
Well, we'll be leasing it.
It's a leased unit?
Yeah.
We included in that budget.
Yeah, it's in the budget.
So between now and December 2024, when you're renovating when you're renovating it and the school is in use, will will that part of it be done it won't be done by the start of the next school year? You'll only be able to work on that during the summer?
No, that's why we have the 10.
You're going to move kids out.
Where the kids will be out, those sections will be opened up. Those sections, the section of the current school, existing school that we'll be utilizing will be kind of partitioned off. They'll be working inside those areas, as well as building the new addition to the north.
The construction on the new addition will be ongoing for the entire portion. But then for the existing renovation portions, it'll be one little, we'll do as much during the summers as we can. The heavier stuff hopefully will happen during the summers, the louder things. But then during the school year, just to meet the time schedule, we have to just portion little parts of the building that will be under construction during the school year. But we'll have plastic walls and curtains and stuff to avoid dust coming into the building and try and avoid loud construction when possible.
Existing classrooms will get new carpeting and painting the entire room. So that's primarily what we'll be doing in most of the existing classrooms.
Now, I just have a very short question, and I'm sure I know what you're going to say without any problem. But I feel like I always have to ask it. Is there any stairs that needs handicap accessible? Is there anything that, you're missing as far as any handicap accessible needs, I guess, for that school?
No, there shouldn't be.
Okay.
We have 2 sets of stairs in the whole building. One of them is the new dining stair in the commons area. The existing stage is currently not accessible. So one thing that we will be talking to the city about, we don't plan to provide a ramp or a lift up to that stage area, but our argument will be that the existing stage is a unique function that is currently inaccessible to a disabled child, whereas we're changing that to just be an extension of the lunchroom, and that child can still eat their lunch in the lunchroom. So we're making a bad situation better by changing the function of that space. The only other stair in the project is if you look at the gym, I know it's tiny on the screen, but the gray portion in the northwest corner of the gym is a storage room. And so that is going to be a 2-story storage room just to take advantage of the height of the gym. And so the bottom floor we're thinking is probably going to be for the physical education program, but then the second floor could be for general building storage. So there's a staircase in that space. So just the storage mezzanine, the second floor there would be inaccessible.
Okay.
But it's a storage room. It's not a real functional space.
Okay, great.
I might add, though,
And not
Lori-
for children.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, not
I
for
think,
children.
and the beauty is, we now have a storm shelter that is on the same level, where currently we have to now go downstairs.
tunnel.
Yeah.
And if anyone who's disabled requires to be carried
Okay.
down the stairs. And
That's
so we'll be
great.
eliminating that.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the capacity of the gymnasium is what?
For an event, it would be about, I think, 700 people at max capacity if you're, standing room only. But the storm shelter capacity is about that. It's about 700 people. So every student, every faculty member that's planned to be in the building at any given time would fit in the storm shelter.
So if we do get up to that 690, and we have a staff of about 100, 75 to 100, they'll be able to fit in there?
Yes, yeah. And then some. It's a little bit oversized for what you need.
So the event would be like an all-school assembly, they'll be able to fit in there?
Yeah, all-school assembly or a graduation or something like that where you have extra people.
Music programs, that's what the plan is, to have it in the gymnasium?
That's my understanding.
And parking for those events is just going to be the same, it's just going to be park?
We do have expanded parking, so the code requires, for the expanded building, the code would require a minimum of 70 parking stalls. You currently have 76 stalls, so your existing parking meets the code. But we do plan, as part of this, to add some additional parking. I believe the final number ended up at 106 total stalls. So it's more than code minimum. And during a large event, for a graduation or something, you would definitely be street parking. There's not enough parking on site for everybody, but it's those events would be somewhat rare compared to the daily operations of the school.
Right.
Okay, we've got one board member that may have a question. It's Tammy. Can you hear me? Do you have any questions on Roosevelt at this point? She may still be muted.
I was unmuting, sorry.
Okay.
I do not have any questions. Thank you all for your diligence, and thank you for your time here tonight.
I think this is, like I said, exciting to start with, and as we get all these maps tonight from the architect, if you have questions, send them to Ron, and he can get updated from the architects this direction or through Navholz on the construction schedules.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I have one more question.
Okay.
Mike, how are you going to, with our construction company, going to be working with our local contractors?
It's probably a better question for them.
Yeah, so we've conducted a subcontractor summit already. We've been having some meetings with them to generate interest. I think on the last one, we had this whole room filled prior to that first board meeting. And then we've advertised out in the digital media and newspaper.
And so you're going to be really working to try to get as many local contractors involved? Okay, awesome.
Absolutely. It's a benefit to the project by including local. Obviously, this is a big project, so we do have to cast a wide net to get the best prices as well. But yeah, we're trying to include locals as much as possible.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you for traveling down, and the weather was pretty good this time for everybody to travel. We haven't had a snowstorm or a windstorm or anything. That's generally how it's worked.
I don't know if you guys are familiar, but last time I was here, the 4-hour drive turned into about 9 hours because we got stuck in a snowstorm, so won't be a problem today.
Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead and move to 6.1, Superintendent's Report.
I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm so sorry.
What?
Roger just-
Oh, no, that's fine. I've had that happen.
I thought it was off.
Have a safe trip.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
3/4 of our audience.
While Ron's getting this on, Kyle, we had one retirement. Did you want to talk about the retirement on personnel?
Absolutely. Beth Billinger, she was retiring school psychologist from Roosevelt, and a top conversation today at Roosevelt. She has only been with us now for 1 year, her most recent stint. She actually earlier in her career worked for USD 49 as well, but most of her time, over 25 years of service to Kansas schools, was with Waukene and Quinter and schools in that direction. But Beth has been an excellent addition, and she's brought a wealth of knowledge and had a big impact on the block in the short time.
And she's been at Roosevelt?
She's been at Roosevelt for this last year.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, just jumping into a few things to share with the board. Just wanted to make the board aware that tomorrow is the statewide tornado drill, which will be combining with a safety event with the city, county, school district. And that's all going to happen at 10 a.m. tomorrow. You might have heard about this, but I just wanted everyone to be aware. This exercise will start at 10 a.m. The statewide tornado drill will happen. All our schools will participate in that activity. Once that activity is kind of concluded, the drills, but at Hayes Middle School, we're going to be simulating an actual tornado hit. We're going to utilize adult volunteers. We're not actually utilizing students, but we will be utilizing some of our staff to work through some of our crisis protocols should this ever be a situation we have to deal with. You might, if you're aware around town, you might see sirens and fire trucks and police personnel, everyone at Hayes Middle. That doesn't, we're not, hopefully, it's not anything. It's just a part of the drill. It'll look real life. And so just wanted to make everyone aware.
I saw they put up a big sign there east of the middle school, kind of like they do out at the interstate when they close it. So they'll probably have some signage there around the middle school tomorrow.
This is a project that we started working on back in September. We've met monthly, bi-monthly. since September. I'd just like to, Julie Zollinger serves as our district crisis coordinator. She's been instrumental in getting our end of this lined up, and so we're excited to do this because our safety protocols we have put in place, and this will give us a chance to work through some of those protocols, and then kind of do some debriefing after the event to see where we may need to put some more focus. So just I wanted to FYI for the board. Also today, State Education Commissioner Randy Watson visited the district. He spent his time here for about an hour down at the Weekend Center and just kind of visiting the classrooms there, visiting with students. Great conversation. Craig was there as well as Kurt. They can definitely talk a little bit, but what a great visit we had. I mean, the young adults at the Weekend Center were they led the tour. They talked a lot about their what they do on a daily basis and why they're doing it, and it was just I thought it was a really uplifting visit. I think it was also for him, our commissioner Randy Watson, a great visit because that's not something that he sees on a lot of his district tours. So, and credit to Kyle. Kyle was there to visit. I thought it was just a great visit.
And kind of go along with that, last week we had the chamber chat at Weekend, and Sarah, there was a lot of people from the community and business there, and got to hear and see what our students are doing in that building also.
It's really remarkable what these young adults are doing. Just once again, a little turf field conversion update. We're going to anticipate we'll be starting laying the turf in about, I don't know, 15 days or so maybe. So that's exciting. I think once we start seeing the green turf down, that will be something that will really highlight that area. Stadium lights will also probably be starting about the same time. And we did also, we did not put any midfield logo on the field, so it'll just be green and going forward. Just wanted to get that. Also, just wanted to highlight last week, once again, add this to the list of things that we have to deal with. Last Wednesday morning, we had 17 school districts across the state who received swatting calls. And I just, swatting is the practice where someone makes prank phone calls to not necessarily the schools, but to our emergency services, which kicks them into gear, and sometimes then the idea is to create panic and anxiety among students and even in families. Something that we have had to deal with before. Fortunately, last Wednesday, we did not get identified in the swatting call that came to the Hayes PD. It was they identified TMP apparently, is what I've been told. They use Google Voice or something similar, which they use the internet to make phone calls, so it's really hard to trace. And we're just working with our Hayes PD to try and work out a system. It's just something that we have we've started some conversations, but we're continuing to hold those conversations with Hayes PD on the best way to handle these kinds of situations. A lot of things that we have to consider when these kind of things occur. And I think I just added also into your packet just the information on the staffing positions that we've added just in the last 4 years. Tried to break it down by year. Basically, you're looking at, well, we've probably added 27 positions over the last 4 years. We've talked about that build back plan that we put in place 4 years ago, and we feel really good about where our district's at in terms of being able to do that for our students in USD 49.
Yeah, because most of these aren't new because they were originally in the district, just like our librarians that we're putting back into the schools, but they were taken out because of the budget cuts a few years ago by the legislature and the governor.
So, feel very fortunate that we've been able to do that. Appreciate the board's work in helping us accomplish that.
Mr. Wilson, was there, the first year, the 19-20, was there any positions that we added? that first year, your first year?
Yes, there were positions.
Can we have that or update?
Yeah, I can get that to you.
Awesome. And this hasn't anything to do with the turf field, but it's a question I have. What's the plan on maintenance? Their
For
department?
the turf field?
No, it's just what is our plan with the bond with we're going to be losing our maintenance department? Where are they going to be located?
Well, we don't have anything firm. We've have a lot of options that we've discussed in terms of we'll be moving to this office. We'll be in the future. We'll be moving to the Wilson Elementary School. We've talked about possibilities there of maybe looking at adding something there in the future.
I just want to do a shout out to Mr. Gasper and the 23 students that are performing this coming weekend. Am I right on that?
Yes.
Thursday. With the play here at the 12th Street Auditorium. I've seen the lights on many nights and after schools. So please, if you want to see a group that has practiced, and I read the reviews of Mr. Gasper that's been doing this for years. It sounds very good. Ron, anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay, Jess, did we have something that moved down? Maybe I didn't refresh my computer.
Yeah, we do have 7.1, but we have 6.2 first.
Yes.
Okay, 6.2. Shanna.
I have another exciting, a few exciting things to share with you, but I think sometimes we just move through the business so quickly. We have 4 of our building admin here, and we have a total with our 6 centers plus ECC and Westside and our Hayes Virtual School. They do amazing things. When we look at personnel, we are hiring some really good people. That's a really good thing in this meeting too. So I just want to, sometimes we don't take time to celebrate or recognize the efforts, but there has been a lot of excitement with the new positions and the people we have who are applying want to be a part of this district, and they put in a lot of work, and so I just want to recognize them for that. And then obviously highlighting Jerry, that's always exciting. And just a note about him, he continues to represent us at the state level on different math committees, and so kudos to him. And then just to sit here and see what's happening with the bond, because if you've been here as long as I have, which some of you have, it's just still like pinching yourself that it's happening. So just really good stuff. And so what I get to share is not really about any huge effort I've done, but we will be fully accredited at the March, we will go at the March State Board meeting. They will recommend us to be accredited, and then it will actually happen at the April meeting. So that was exciting news to hear back. This is a 6-long, because we had a pause year with COVID. It's been a 6-long process with our accreditation through KISA. So I'm very excited to share with the board that that will be happening. And part of what I wanted to share with you all this evening in regards to that is we think of KISA, and I know even the needs assessment, which really is about teaching and learning. But the main theme, and we're just going to go through this quickly, that I wanted to share today, if I can start the slideshow. Is that really, it's not a single event, and there's no point of arrival. So we may talk about KISA and having these visits, but what's even more important to us as a district is that continuous improvement. It's not going to happen just once every 5 years or once a year when we have a report to submit. And the other thing is we can talk about the needs assessment being something we bring to you once a year, but what's even more important and our focus as a district is the ongoing cycles of inquiry. We want to be looking at the classroom level, at the building level, at the district level. What's our data? What's the feedback telling us? Do we need to design something, implement, refine? It's a constant cycle of inquiry. So 2 of the visuals here is, as a district, a successful high school graduate is our mission, vision, tied into all of the things we talk about, is really helping prepare our students to be successful once they graduate. And then the cycle of inquiry is really those processes that we go through at the classroom level, like I talked about, building and district level, and all of that is built in school action plans, and so it's unique to every school and what the data is telling the school what their needs are. And so they design it around the learners in their individual buildings. So I wanted to make sure that I shared that. Here is just a template of what those action plans are. You know, there's a focus area, then an outcome that's measurable, and then we are looking at success indicators, and you can see across. Now, I really feel like in the last 5-6 years through the accreditation, we've gotten a lot more purposeful and intentional about looking at the data and the feedback. And so this is just, these are going to be some example slides that I pulled from the different data dives. So we, Allison Kitchen being part of the ESSER funds, we knew that we needed to have someone who could help facilitate, support, and lead this process. So she's working with our building leadership teams 3 times a year to dig into the data and really try to not wait for those lag measures, but look at some of the lead measures and even some of the more granular data at the classroom level, at the student desk level. So we have just a variety of reading data sources. This is one from the elementary. We look at reading levels. And then after each dive into the data, these are the questions that we pose to, again, building leadership teams, so teacher involvement, empowering teachers to help lead this process. What patterns or trends are they noticing in the data? What current practices or policies might contribute to the growth or its lack? So if someone's doing something really well, we want to identify that and then have other buildings do the same thing. Really try to bring to the surface those best practices. What priority do we see in the data? And then subgroups, making sure we're looking for equity issues, gaps, and then maybe what questions that building might still have about instruction, materials, assessment. What are some things we can help support at the district level? So that set of questions is asked after every piece of data feedback that's looked at. And this is an example of fast bridge reading, again, the questions, and then state assessments is a part of that as well with the questions. So those are 3 different sources with the reading. With math, we continue to fast bridge at different levels, same set of questions, state assessments. And then the VSEL data, so this is one of the, we could not even apply, you know, part of accreditation is also recognition for STAR ratings at the state level. When we started our KISA process 5-6 years ago, we didn't even have enough to apply for the STAR application. This past year, we earned a silver as in the area of social emotional learning as a district. And so the work that's been done to provide some data analysis, some systemic processes for that are just so incredible of the work that has been done by the people in the district that do this day in and day out. So these are the different data sources we look at: chronic absenteeism, which is attendance, and then behavior referrals, course grades, and then the My Savers and Savers, that's the VSEL risk screener, and then there's some other referrals as well that are locally determined. So here's just an example from one of the buildings, digging into the attendance. This is My Savers, how we pull the data, and then we ask the same types of questions for those types of things. And then we actually, there are buildings who, beyond all this, they've targeted some areas that they want to grow in, so they have found and created some other data sources. Here's the middle school. They do a bi-weekly survey of their staff as to how things are going with some of the things they put in place. You can see at the top, one of their focus areas is to greet students at the door before first hour, really trying to make those connections with kids. So this is just one example of some other pieces of data that are happening out there. This is part of walkthrough. A few of the buildings are looking at the walkthrough data, so what's actually happening in the classroom. This is particular to opportunities to respond. Are we giving all students opportunities to respond so that they're engaged in what they're doing, which will in turn help their behavior and impact their learning? And then these are a few other just graphs from our walkthrough. And then we have a building that's really diving into some of the reading and some reading interventions, and they're doing some progress monitoring. So this is just a graph that they looked at when it came to some progress monitoring. And again, asking ourselves those questions, and then going back to their action plan, doing that refinement, and then communicating it, making sure it gets to all staff, to the PLC, student desk level, all the way back to the district. Right now, we're asking families to complete a family engagement survey. That's feedback that we look at through all of these processes. So we're asking families to do that by the end of this week. So hopefully, we'll have a good turnout on that. Any questions just about those things, the processes, the cycles of inquiry, when it comes to where we've come and the growth that we've really seen in through this last accreditation cycle?
And we'll start the process over with a 5-year plan as soon as we get accredited with the 6-year one that we're on right now, because you got to keep improving.
We do, and I'm glad you said that, though, Craig, because as I mentioned, it really is, we're going to just stay the course. Like, we have processes, we have feedback, we're looking at our needs, so we're not going to stop doing this and then start doing KISA. We have been able to, and the state's learned too, through this accreditation cycle, that really, if you have good processes in place, then we can be using some of this as the needs assessment to tell our story and identify goals, and it can be what we need it to be, as long as we have those processes established and we can show growth and we're digging into the reading, the math, all of those state outcomes. So I'm excited that we can just continue moving forward with what we have in place.
Right, because this report that we have to publish, that there are no particular guidelines offered in statute. It's just that this has to happen and it has to be published. So as we make progress and work through what we ourselves have identified as our needs, we get to just write that down and say, hey, here it is.
And we bring it to you throughout the year when we
sure
come,
do.
whether it's for personnel or all the different things that we ask. And one of the things we will be coming to you in the area of teaching and learning is Shauna Zweifel is chairing our math stack, and we have been reviewing math materials for K-8. So we have some pilots going on. So this spring, in the next couple of months, we will bring you the recommendation from the math stack for elementary math and then for the middle school math. So
I did the survey twice today. Yeah, I know. Is that a generic, is that the one we use every time? I mean, there's some questions that are hard to pinpoint unless, you go ask some of them, or like, I don't know.
no, I think we want your perspective.
Right, but is that the same one we use every year?
It is the one, this is the second time we've done it. Through our partnership with MTSS, that is one that they recommend, and it's aligned to like the family engagement standards. So yes, this is the one we will use annually throughout, moving forward.
Because there's like, some of the questions were like 2 questions in one, and I'd say really, really good, and then so-so, but then you combine them, you don't know which way to go. I mean, that's...
Right. And so we will look like we'll pull district in the buildings, and they'll have the areas, and so they'll target them. And many of them, they already have in their action plan from last year, the things that they feel are low, and they want to target and then put into actions and stuff, so.
Yeah, because I remember that discussion too, that we had those.
Yeah, so thank you for doing your part.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I have.
Okay, anyone have questions to Shanna?
Well, I don't have a question for you. You brought up the administrators. I want to say that most of the audience that's left are college students that are juniors, that are education majors. Y'all need to meet those administrators. They're all over here. They're all the older people over there.
3, 4, 5.
No, here, you want a crazy story? She was a student of mine in middle school. We sat on the stage when you were an 8th grader.
Yep.
And I offered her a job someday.
I have the paper.
I said, I will hire you. She told me she was going into education as an 8th grader. And I said, someday I'm going to hire you. And she just told me tonight that she still has the piece of paper. So
Good.
yeah. So she's a good one, guys.
Yeah.
You need to.
And the master teacher's over there. He's the most brilliant guy in all of USD. Go talk to him.
Right, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. 7.1, disposal of obsolete district property. This was moved from the consent agenda.
I don't have one.
Yeah.
Mr. President, I'd like to move to approve this action item as presented.
Okay,
I'll second, but was there a discussion on this?
we'll have the discussion right now. We have a motion and a second.
Mr. Wilson, it says that those items are advertised, but I haven't seen them advertised, or they will be advertised?
Well, you're going to approve them. Once you approve it, we advertise.
Is it going to Purple Wave again?
Yeah, we'll put them on Purple Wave. We'll sell them however, whoever, we'll put them wherever we can get someone to get rid of them.
So the items that were on our last meetings, I don't see those on Purple Wave, are they?
They will be.
They haven't been.
Purple Wave had a change in the guy who used to come and take the pictures retired, and so they had somebody new hired, so it's taking longer to get stuff there.
So it just hasn't taken place yet? Okay. I've mentioned about the items that are already on Purple Wave.
That was because of the new guy too. He put some of the stuff, they had pictures of, when he came to do some of the things that were already approved, they said, hey, while you're here, take pictures of these because they're going to get approved. Well, he posted the ones, so they took them back down after you approved them. Then at the last meeting, they'll go back up and get sold now.
Okay, currently those are still on Purple Wave and they're supposed to be sold.
He took them down. So well, they would be back up now because they've been approved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, these items we haven't approved, these 12 items.
The other ones are, and it was cleaned up.
Yeah, I believe everything's been approved.
What's the, so
The
what,
meal, the toolboxes, when did we approve those? I don't have, they weren't on the last one.
I don't think we've ever done it. That's not ours, not a toolbox.
Well, it's Jeff Arnold is the person we're supposed to call.
Oh, I don't know.
And then we have
the new guy.
there is a toolbox.
the music equipment, the speakers and stuff like that.
If they
We
were
have not
last
approved
meeting,
it, so
they
it should not be
more.
sold.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's been sold.
Well, it will be in 2 days if we don't take it down, is what I'm saying. You can look right now.
What's the window on things when is it a week?
We usually, we like to get rid of it as soon as possible. I would say by semester, so probably for these items, if we haven't gotten rid of or any takers by, June, we'll probably look to just dispose them.
I understand, but when we post stuff out, like Next Tech, Classifieds, or we put a 2-week window on them, I mean, what's the?
I think we just go 30 days, I think.
Is it 30 days where most, okay.
So it's not going to Purple Wave, or they are going to Purple Wave?
Well,
Is that what you're saying?
Some do.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. There's a process, and I don't, they shouldn't be on there if we've not approved them. I don't know how that is on there. Like Chris has said, though, if you heard him say, there was been a change in the person who posted it, maybe he put something up there he came and took pictures and then maybe put them up without understanding.
Well, there's almost $4,000 worth of items on there that we need to make sure.
That'd be awesome.
They need to be approved.
Yeah, but
First.
I would, hopefully you would approve them.
We haven't approved them.
Yeah, but hopefully
Okay.
you would.
Do I have a motion to approve the obsolete district? Okay, all in favor, say yes.
Well, is there any more discussion?
I didn't hear any.
You didn't ask either. Is there any more?
Are you going to run it?
Do you have something else that you'd like to discuss?
Do you have another discussion
I would like for
item?
everybody to have a chance, as a professional board member at this meeting, to be heard and have their fair say if they have something to discuss, instead of nobody called for the vote.
I did.
He did.
That's not how parliamentary procedure works.
No, probably not.
I call for the vote. All in favor of the disposed items as presented, vote yes.
Yes.
Yes. All opposed, vote no. 7-0. Okay, we do have an executive session tonight. Ron, who needs to attend the executive session?
Chris, Kyle, Shannon, Bill, myself.
How long?
15 minutes.
Okay, the motion to go into executive session for matters relating to employer-employee negotiations, whether or not in consultation with the representative or representatives of the body or agency, in order to protect the district's right to the confidentiality of its negotiating position and the public interest. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Your second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? There will be no action after the executive session. All in favor, vote yes.
Yes.
All opposed, vote no. We will be in executive session until, I can't ever see that,
It's 8:15 right now.
yes,
8:31.
8:31?
8:16, so 8:31?
8:31.
Yeah, well, give us a minute or two to clear out.
Okay, until 8:33 by the time we move on.
More 15 minutes, Greg.
15 minutes, is that right?
Yeah, 15.